Hey guys, Rami here with the third stimulus check update and stimulus package update. And oh boy, the Democrats are not happy this morning because the Senate Parliamentarian finally ruled, and she ruled against including the $15 minimum wage as part of this budget reconciliation, as part of this stimulus package. So this is a big blow to the Democrats, and Bernie Sanders seemed to have a creative idea on how to get around that, so we'll talk about this. And this might actually mean that we'll get the stimulus package sooner than we think, because now we don't have to worry about Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema voting against the bill because they included the $15 minimum wage. So let's get right to the details. Right after you please hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, so here we go. The Senate Parliamentarian told lawmakers Thursday night that a proposed increase in the minimum wage to $15 an hour did not comply with Senate rules, dealing a blow to Democrats' efforts to include it in the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package. The parliamentarian, the neutral arbiter of the chamber's rules, issued guidance saying she thought it didn't meet the guidance for reconciliation, the process that Democrats are using to pass the relief plan with a simple majority in the Senate, and would be ruled out of order. The ruling from Elizabeth McDonough, the chief parliamentarian, comes as lawmakers make final changes to the bill so that it falls within the Senate rules. The reconciliation process that places a number of restrictions on what policy measures can be included in the legislation. It also allows Democrats to pass the legislation without GOP support, provided that they lose no votes among their own ranks. So now that if they take it out, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema will be on board with the rest of the stimulus package. Increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2025 has been a priority for the party's progressives, though some moderate Democrats in the Senate had raised concerns about including it in President Biden's coronavirus relief package. Some had advocated for a smaller increase or voiced concerns about the sharp jump the proposal would mean for tipped wage in restaurants. So there's numbers floating around now between $10 to $12 an hour instead of $15. So we'll see what happens there. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said, "We are deeply disappointed in this decision. We are not going to give up the fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 to help millions of struggling American workers and their families. The American people deserve it, and we are committed to making it a reality." They can make it a reality, but maybe as a regular bill that maybe can get votes from Republicans. Also, if they lower the number instead of 15, I've seen the 10, I've seen 11, I've seen 12. We'll see where they go from here, but this is very, very interesting. So in order to comply with the Senate's rules for reconciliation, a measure must be determined to have a meaningful fiscal impact that can be merely incidental to the policy proposal. Ms. McDonough ruled the budget impact of the minimum wage increase was merely incidental to the policy change. This is what we were saying for the whole time, that this really doesn't affect the federal budget. It affects small businesses that are going to pay their workers this minimum wage. But the CBO came out with the report with one line in there saying that increasing the minimum wage to $15 will affect the federal budget. But we don't know really why they put that in there. They're supposed to be bipartisan, but I'm not making any assumptions here. Maybe you guys can put these assumptions in the comments below, why the CBO put that sentence there. So obviously Republicans are happy that the parliamentarian decision about the parliamentarian decision last night. Senator Lindsey Graham said this decision reinforces reconciliation cannot be used as a vehicle to pass major legislative change by either party on a simple majority vote. This decision will over time reinforce the traditions of the Senate. So obviously the Republicans are happy there. The parliamentarians' ruling against the wage increase now puts pressure on Democrats to decide if they will abide by the guidance or seek to overturn it. Some progressive Democrats already have pushed to ignore the parliamentarians' recommendation and approve the measure, an unusual step that the White House and some Senate Democrats have said they would resist. So we heard yesterday from the White House Chief of Staff, they said that they were not going to do that. And even Joe Biden, Joe Biden, a few weeks ago, he already said that he doesn't see that minimum wage passing through the budget reconciliation. So I highly doubt that he will push Kamala Harris to overturn this result. So we'll see. I don't put anything past anything anymore since last year. It's been crazy. I just don't think we can go back to voters and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we promised this to you. We couldn't do it because the parliamentarian ruled that we couldn't do it. Voters expect us to fight for this and get it done." Representative Pramila Jayapal, Democrat chairwoman of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, said earlier Thursday, "It is possible for the chair to decide to include it anyway, despite the parliamentarians' ruling." I mean, we know how progressive think, but this will not be good politically for Joe Biden. You know, the first legislative push that he does to be completely partisan, all along party lines, and with the budget recon method, which really completely ignores Republicans in the Senate and in the House, and also to overturn a ruling made by the Senate parliamentarian. I don't think it's a good look politically for Joe Biden to start with that. So I highly doubt they're going to do that. That's just my opinion. You guys can also let me know your opinion down below in the comments. Under the chamber's rules, the presiding officer of the Senate, in this case Vice President Kamala Harris, can disregard the parliamentarian's advice, but such a step would likely give both parties more license to ignore the parliamentarian in future fights. Yeah, I don't think that's something they want to do, because what happens when, you know, the Senate and the House becomes a Republican sometime in the future? Who knows? Then they can do the same thing because they set a precedent here. So I don't think they want to do that. So yeah, we see here several Democratic senators have said that they would be uncomfortable with rejecting the parliamentarian's advice in order to raise the minimum wage, as has the White House. So I don't think it will happen. And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Mr. Biden was disappointed in the outcome but respects the parliamentarian's decision and the Senate's process. She said Mr. Biden will work with leaders in Congress to determine the best path forward, because no one in this country should work full-time and live in poverty. So yeah, I really doubt they're going to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. They're just going to have to remove the $15 minimum wage from this bill right now, from the budget recon, which has the stimulus package, you know, the $1,400 stimulus checks, $400 unemployment, the child tax credits. All that can pass without the $15 minimum wage. I think they could just slam dunk this one through without the $15 minimum wage and come back to that later with some amendments, some changes, try to get Republicans on board in order to not need to do it with a budget recon and just do it with a regular vote and get the 60 votes. I think they can do that maybe some point later, maybe include it as part of the infrastructure bill, not the stimulus package. So we'll see. Now let's just see what Bernie Sanders said in response to this, and also what he proposes to do next. Well, here he says, I strongly disagree with the parliamentarians' ruling about the minimum wage, but the people are demanding an end to starvation wages in America. We will not give up. We must get this done.
Tell you about a setback that I just learned about an hour ago. As all of you know, all of us together have demanded an end to starvation wages in America. We know that a $7.25 federal minimum wage is insane. It is a starvation wage, and we got to raise it to at least $15 an hour over the next several years. Without boring you about the incredibly obtuse and undemocratic rules of the Senate, turns out that an unelected person, who's called the parliamentarian of the Senate, can determine whether the minimum wage provision was germane to the overall bill. And just an hour ago, or 2 hours ago, she ruled that it was not. It was not. And I strongly disagree with her. And we have the absurd situation. 60% of the American people in polls want to raise the minimum wage. House of Representatives has voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. President of the United States wants a $15 an hour minimum wage. And I believe that in a large package, we can barely, but we could do it, get the Senate to approve that. And yet you got an unelected parliamentarian using, because of the Senate rules that we have, saying that we cannot do it, denying 30 million Americans a pay raise. So we're going to deal with this. We're not, I don't want anybody out there to think that we're giving up. We got a number of ideas about how we're going to come back.
All right, so he thinks he can come back from this, and this is what he proposed. He posted this on his other Twitter account, where he said, let's just move me over here. All right, so he said, I strongly disagree with tonight's decision by the Senate parliamentarian. The CBO made it absolutely clear that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour had a substantial budgetary impact and should be allowed under reconciliation. It is hard for me to understand how drilling for oil in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge was considered to be consistent with the bird rule, while increasing the minimum wage is not. So yeah, we know about that CBO report, and they did say that the $15 minimum wage will affect the federal budget. So I'm not sure on what basis she made that the ruling, but she made it. And then at the bottom here, this is where he says, you know, everyone wants to increase the $15 minimum wage. And then in the end here, he says, in the coming days, I will be working with my colleagues in the Senate to move forward with an amendment to take tax deductions away from large profitable corporations that don't pay workers at least $15 an hour, and to provide small businesses with incentives they need to raise wages. That amendment must be included in this reconciliation bill. So what he's trying to do here is, instead of having the legislation be the $15 minimum wage, is to remove tax benefits from large corporations, which will affect the federal budget if they don't pay their workers at $15 minimum wage. So he's trying to work around it. And I saw already that Costco and Walmart are raising their minimum wage. So I don't know, maybe he has a point here, and maybe he has a way, but this will need to be an amendment. So I hope this doesn't delay the stimulus package. I personally think that they should just deal with the $15 minimum wage later as part of the infrastructure bill. That could make more sense to be part of the infrastructure bill instead of the stimulus package. The stimulus package should be just to help the people, and increasing the minimum wage right now on small businesses in the middle of a pandemic, I personally don't think that's the best idea to go about this right now. So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to bring you this breaking news information that the Senate Parliamentarian finally made her ruling, and she voted against including the $15 minimum wage. We'll see what happens from here. Nancy Pelosi still said that she's going to put the package on the House floor for a vote today, including the $15 minimum wage. So that just means that the Senate will have to amend it and fix it, and then send it back to the House to be voted on, and finally go to Joe Biden to sign it into law. We cannot wait until this moment is done. So I'll make sure to bring you all the updates here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. Please hit the like button on the video, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that notifications bell to be notified that whenever I publish new videos and new content for you. And make sure to check the links in the description for the Yara savings account and Webull. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.